Press the bell icon on YouTube and don't miss another update.
On Friday, Finance Minister Piyush Goyal presented the interim budget for this government just months before elections are due. Well, a lot of people have said this was not really an interim budget and there were many sops that were offered, but we have someone with us who can decode the budget for us, and nobody better than Revenue Secretary Ajay Bhushan Pandey. Sir, I will start with this pointed question straight away. SOPs, rebate, people are saying it wasn't in the spirit of the interim budget. How would you argue with that? What kind of explanation would you offer to that?
See, if you see as per the tradition, during the interim budget, all the existing schemes are continued so far as the expenditure side is concerned.
Right.
And on the taxation side, the existing tax rates are continued. And then the main tax proposals are also brought in at the time of the final, main budget. And we have also seen the conventions that during the last several decades, certain urgent things which were required to be done, that used to be done even during the interim budget.
Right.
Constitutionally, there is no bar, because anyway you have to continue the existing taxation rates for the next year, and that you have to present at the time that finance bill has to be presented for continuation of the existing rates for the next year in the interim budget itself. Now the whole issue was that particularly the smaller taxpayers, the people who are in the middle class, and within the middle class those who are earning less in the middle class category, they need certainty on 1st of April. Because what have we done? We would have otherwise continued the existing rates, but at the same time also we are sending out a message that these existing rates, even though we are continuing through the finance bill for the next year, that might get changed in the month of June or July. So the whole problem was that the people in the middle class who are earning less, they needed some kind of a certainty in their minds on 1st of April that what will be the final picture and then their tax burden for the next year. And that is why a decision was taken, and it was included in this interim budget proposal, that particularly for the middle class, those who are earning less, what will be their tax burden. And then and there was a very good case that during last 4 years, because of the various taxation reforms, the various measures which the government has taken, our tax base has increased. Our tax collection also shown increase of 15%, 18%, this year 20%, and then next year also we are projecting 15%. And these things were achieved without increasing the tax rates. But still it was felt that people who are in the middle class earning less, they needed to be provided certain relief, and relief should be directed only to them. And that is why we brought in this mechanism of giving tax rebate for those earning up to 5 lakhs. And that is the logic why it was included in the interim budget, in the finance bill, along with the continuation of the existing rates for the next year.
Right. So, but this is a question many are asking, and for a layperson like me also, how are you going to finance all this? The kind of SOPs that have been announced, the kind of measures that have been announced?
Now, you see, we have tried to give quite a balanced budget, where there is a fiscal deficit of 3.4% of the whole GDP. You see the trajectory of how the fiscal deficit has to be brought down. We have tried to follow the same trajectory, and in fact, as per the new GDP figures, the fiscal deficit for the for the current year also, it will be to the in the range of around 3.3, and next year it will be somewhere around 3.1. We have also tried to give a realistic figure wherever it is possible, because in case of a GST, because of the various rate rationalizations and reductions, we had to scale down our revised estimates in this year, and we have done that. Next year also we have projected the realistic growth. So what we have tried to do in the budget is that on the revenue side we have given a realistic picture. Even if we had to revise our revenue collection figure in the current year, in the next year also we have given the realistic figures. On the expenditure side, the attempt has been made to ensure that all important programs get the appropriate level of funding. The increase of almost 13% has been kept over the over the previous year, and yet the fiscal deficit, which is the question that you are asking, right, from where are you going to fund this? So the answer lies that even after giving a realistic revenue collection figure, and after financing all those programs which have been announced in the current year's budget and also for the next year, even then the fiscal deficit is only in the range that we had wanted.
Right. So can we expect the GST Council to announce some more rate cuts to favor the MSME sector, for instance?
See, so far as the GST is concerned, GST is about 1.5 years old. Now, during the 1 year time, the GST Council has shown enough flexibility and responsiveness, because it is one of the largest tax reforms, which has been taken ever since our independence, involving all states, union territories, and then the central government. Now, when you undertake such large reforms, you have to also be flexible, because nothing can be predicted on the day one, right, even though you may have done lots of planning. So what GST Council has been doing is that at a regular interval, depending upon the need, depending upon the the issues which are brought to their notice, they make certain changes in the process, in the law, and also in the rates. And that is why you have seen that during last 1.5 years, 4 times of major rate reductions were done. If you see the total benefit which has been given to the consumers is approximately about 90,000 crores per annum. This is the benefit which has been given. As it is, when the GST was introduced, the taxes were reduced. Taxes on taxes were eliminated, and even after on the lower base, right, the rate reductions further helped in bringing the prices to a lower level. And then the GST Council is a live the body, and which will always take into account whenever there is a need and there is a rationale behind any proposal, whether it is a rate reduction or whether it is any process or any change in law.
Right. So what kind of economic activity are you expecting from the stimulus that you have given to, say, farmers or rural India?
See, the economic activity that we can straight away say, look, if 6,000 rupees per annum, it is directly going into the hands of 12 crore families, right? This is definitely not the only source of income for the families. It is an income support. It is a supplement. And this is being supplemented by many other efforts. For example, if it is a farmer, now farmer gets assistance at various levels. One assistance it gets in the form of input, right, like the subsidized fertilizers. Now even that has been streamlined, because now the fertilizer benefit also is being given through the direct benefit route, where the person goes and then through his Aadhaar he is authenticated, and then he is able to purchase fertilizers. So now the fertilizers are available in a required, and then the days of having a scarcity at the time of sowing season, that we don't find many such instances now happening. Excuse me. Now the input level, same thing about the seeds. Right. Then also the agriculture, the various credit in the form of a crop loan, whether in the form of having some infrastructure like the drip irrigation and other forms of irrigations. So, and then insurance about the the crop.
Right.
And then finally the minimum support price.
Right.
So having a reasonable level of minimum support price, which is 50% the actual cost of agriculture, and this is being done on most items.
Right.
And finally this income support.
Right.
So in fact, you see there are already 4 components:
right.
the input, the credit, subsidies on the input, then the credit and loans, insurance, and then MSP. So the 4 components were already there. Now this 5th component
right.
is being introduced, that is the additional income support.
Right.
So all these will ultimately lead to a higher income level, particularly in the rural areas, and which will definitely drive the consumption, the growth, and other things.
Right. So will the bedrock of this income support be Aadhaar, because this government has based most of its welfare schemes and policies on Aadhaar?
Good thing that in our country we have Aadhaar now, which was not there till about 5-6 years back. Today more than 99% of the adults have Aadhaar. Now there are many schemes of the government where the money is being seamlessly being transferred directly into the bank accounts of the beneficiaries without any middlemen or any unscrupulous persons taking away the benefits. One example of a direct benefit transfer that we see on such a large scale is the LPG cooking subsidy scheme, Ujjwala, as well as the Pahl scheme, where every month around 13 crores families, they are getting a cooking gas subsidy amounting to about 330 rupees per month.
Right.
That is going directly into their bank account without those beneficiaries ever having come to any office and apply for such subsidy. The money is going into their bank account.
Right.
So if 12 crore people can be serviced in this manner, in a very, very seamless manner, now going by that experience, even this, the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Yojana, that money to 12 crore farmers' families can be done through the direct benefit transfer scheme through Aadhaar. And what this will ensure is that the money that is goes to the deserving farmers and who are eligible farmers, and this money doesn't get diverted to the any middlemen or to any undeserving beneficiaries or duplicate or fakes.
Right.
So how much expansion in direct taxes are you hoping for in the next fiscal?
See, what we have given is the growth of in the direct tax, we have given estimated the growth of 15%, that is 13,80,000 crores. And then in case of an GST, we have given a growth of around 14%. This is the minimum thing that we will target.
Okay. So is the government holding back on refunds for corporates to be able to meet your corporate tax collections?
No, I don't think that, we should be doing that, and we don't do that. That if a refund is due, refund should be given. This year we have already given refunds, as much as 1,50,000 crores already to the taxpayers who could be individual taxpayers or the corporates. So if the refund is due, the refund has to be given. And holding back refund to meet the revenue target, this is not a good idea, and we will never support this.
Right. So I want to ask you about Narega. It's a scheme that has got 60,000 crore this fiscal in the budget. There is a section which is the civil society, the activists who've said that's not enough, it should be 88,000 crore. There is a section which says that we should not be giving so much because Narega is really not, it doesn't generate too much economic activity. It is more of a dole than anything else. PM Modi himself had criticized the scheme. So why is it that this government has allotted 60,000 crore, and what would you say to the civil society which says it should be more?
See, if you see the entire scheme of Narega is, in fact, this is a wage guarantee scheme.
Right.
Now, in the case of a wage guarantee scheme, you have to provide wage of 100 as per the demand,
right.
And therefore, whether the amount should be more or less, is not that important. The question is that whether the amount earmarked is going to meet the guarantee which is given under the law, because Manrega is driven by the law, right. And therefore if anyone needs wages, then the job has to be provided, right. And for that adequate money has to be provided,
right.
Now, based on the past year's experience of the past several years, if in the next year a certain amount has been provided, and this has been done on the basis of the analysis, and also the projection that how many people will actually seek jobs under the Manrega scheme and how much money will be required, and you can see there is a substantial increase. The problem will arise if, let us say, if the money is less and more people ask for the jobs. But we haven't had that kind of a situation. And therefore the adequate amount of money has been earmarked so that this guarantee obligation of the government is met by this fund.
So finally, another thing that generated much controversy was the unemployment data, the NSSO report. The government has said it was just a draft report. The statisticians who prepared it said it's a final report. Is this something that the government is hiding?
No, actually there is no question of hiding. If the report is not published, and then if so, in that particular case, it will not be fair for any of the government functionary to have a comment on this, because the report is not published. This is the information which even I have got. If the report is not published and some version of report is being circulated, we don't know the authenticity of that report. So it will not be fair on my part to comment on such reports.
Right. Well, that was Mr. Pandey, who is Revenue Secretary. He explained to us what the logic behind the budget was and how the government plans to finance and fund whatever it has announced. For The Print, this is Ruhi Tiwari. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.